Now, for an update on the situation in the region, we now cross live to our SABC News correspondent, Blake Sifton, and he's in Dubai this evening. And Blake, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. Let's start off here. And maybe if you can just start off by giving us the latest developments coming out from the Middle East. We have seen reports this evening saying that the former Iranian president has also been killed. What are you hearing?
Good evening. That's right. Those reports have been out, but they remain unconfirmed. Confirmed information we've got just in the last little while is that the first American soldiers have been killed in this conflict. They announced that 3 soldiers were killed and 5 were seriously injured, while others suffered concussions and minor injuries, presumably in strikes on U.S. bases across the Middle East. But they actually didn't provide any specific information on where or how those servicemen were killed and seriously injured. We should remember that in the 12-day war in June mostly between Israel and Iran, but of course with the American airstrikes at the end, no Israeli or American soldiers were killed in that conflict. Here in Dubai, we've had a few rounds of interceptions throughout the day. We hear booms, they echo across the city. You look to the sky, you see those large puffs of smoke. It's unclear whether those have been drones or ballistic missiles, but they are being shot down. The damage that has been seen here has been from falling debris rather than direct impacts. Despite the situation, people here are taking it in stride. There are cars on the road, restaurants are open. Yesterday when this all began, there was actually quite a few tourists out and about just enjoying their days. And I think most people here understand and are reassured by the fact that while there are these projectiles flying through the air, they're not directed at the people here, they're directed at U.S. military assets in the region. Comparatively, of course, though, in Israel, the ballistic missiles are very much directed at the population centers. And today we had the first mass casualty event in Israel. This took place in a city called Beit Shemesh, which is a very religious Jewish city west of Jerusalem. A ballistic missile made a direct impact on a building, including the shelter, and 9 people were killed there. That follows the death of 1 woman in Tel Aviv in a direct strike on a building very early that morning. So following those strikes, those attacks, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has now said that Israel will intensify its airstrikes in Iran, and both he and Defense Minister Israel Katz have also said that they will go forward with this air campaign as long as necessary.
And let's go back now to the situation in Iran, Blake. I mean, we have seen the big story of the day being the killing of the supreme leader for Iran. And maybe if you can just take us through, we understand that today it kicked off, those ceremonies, the 40-day mourning period for the people of Iran. What are you hearing there when it comes to some of these ceremonies being held in the honor of the Iran supreme leader?
So that's right, of course. This is really, to be fair, shocking, unprecedented, almost unbelievable that the supreme leader of Iran has been killed by the Israeli military after so many years in power. What happens next is very unclear. We understand from reports at this stage that him being essentially available as a target is what led the Israelis and the Americans to carry out a really unpredicted strike in the morning to begin this conflict. Normally, every time we've seen an exchange of fire between Israel and Iran, or in June when Israel launched those preemptive attacks, they always happened in the middle of the night. So basically, when things didn't happen at night, you'd almost breathe a sigh of relief. But then these came unexpectedly in the morning. And we understand that's because the supreme leader met with members of his government, possibly above ground, and he was essentially a vulnerable target. So who governs Iran next is unclear. There is an interim committee being put in place. Before this conflict started, there was quite a bit of talk that Iran had designated essentially 4 lines of succession, 4 levels of succession, not only for the supreme leader, but for defense chiefs, other important figures in the government, assuming essentially that some of them would be killed in any conflict. And rather than having the situation like we had in June, where the command and control of Iran's military and the Iranian government was thrown into chaos, this way you would have a situation where people knew who was in charge next should those other people be killed. So whether that system is currently surviving the widespread killings, as far as we know, of senior leaders in the Iranian government and military remains to be seen. And when it comes to those commemorative events, that is right. We have heard that those will be held, but of course the situation in Iran is very chaotic, and these airstrikes are not stopping. So what kind of potential there is for public ceremonies remains unclear.
All right, Blake, thank you so much for that update. That's Blake Sifton, SABC News correspondent in Dubai, painting a picture for us in terms of the situation in Dubai that's also been affected by these airstrikes. Of course, so that is Iran targeting some of the sites belonging to the U.S. government.